The part they refuse to say out loud. Opening word to Thomas. Thomas, I read your statement and I see the passion behind it. I also see a pattern. You describe one administration as the sole danger to democracy. You treat every concern as a single-party issue. You place the weight of American decline on Republicans alone. I write this because I refuse to let one side frame the entire story. I have lived long enough to notice what happens when the loudest voices speak about danger on one side while ignoring the reach of federal power on the other. When someone lists their fear but leaves out the tools of government used for political control, it is not an argument. It is a warning sign. The part of the story you did not mention. You pointed at Republicans as the threat. I point at something larger. You did not mention how the FBI monitored parents at school board meetings. You did not mention how the CIA advised social media companies on what to remove. You did not mention how the CDC stretched health rules into political rules. You did not mention how the DOJ created two standards of justice. These agencies are not side characters. They shape elections. They shape speech. They shape the public story. When they choose sides, they tilt the entire field. Why ignoring federal power is dangerous. When a person blames only one party, they skip the fundamental truth. The real danger comes from the tools. When the tools of government move in one direction, the republic bends with them. You say one administration denied an election. I ask why it was acceptable for intelligence agencies to label a laptop story as foreign misinformation when they had no evidence. That interference shaped an election far more than loud words on a stage. You cannot talk about democracy while skipping the actions of the institutions that steer the public mind. The border as a political tool. You wrote about executive orders. I look at the border. The open border is not an accident. It is not a policy failure. It is a political strategy. Millions have entered without checks. Cities buckle under the cost. Law enforcement is overwhelmed. Community trust breaks. When a government refuses to secure the border, it is not protecting democracy. It is creating pressure for political gain. It is using chaos as a shield. Any honest discussion must include this reality. The power of social media referees. You mentioned attacks on universities and law firms. I look at social media companies guided by federal pressure. When one side of the political spectrum is silenced, flagged, or shadow banned, it shapes public thought. This is not a metaphor. It is a real influence on what people learn and how they vote. When a government leans on social media companies to remove stories or restrict topics, the public square becomes a private club. That affects elections more than any politician's angry speech. Courts pulled into politics. You spoke of gerrymandering. I look at courts used as political weapons. Civil and criminal cases have been turned into political messages. Opponents are dragged into years of litigation. Charges are multiplied into a fog. The goal is not justice. The goal is exhaustion. When state and federal courts become tools of political tribes, the public loses faith in the rule of law. Once trust is broken, it does not return. Control has a pattern. Thomas, you warned about alarm bells. I agree there are alarms. They come from the places you did not name. Power wants obedience. Power wants silence. Power wants control. When major institutions join one side, the country begins to tilt. When the tilt becomes steep, the people start to slide. This is how a nation loses its balance. Why a one-sided story cannot stand. You listed every flaw you see in one administration. You skipped the federal actions that shaped elections. You skipped the social media controls. You skipped the border crisis as a political tool. You skipped the selective enforcement of laws. You skipped the intelligence community's reach. A fair argument must see both sides. A fair argument must question both sides. When someone blames only one side, they are not defending democracy. They are defending power. My straight answer: I do not defend wrongdoing. I do not excuse bad behavior. I do not place a halo on any politician. I want a country where the law applies to everyone equally. I want a country where agencies do not tilt the field. I want a country with a secure border. I want a country where the courts handle justice, not politics. I want a country where speech is free even when it offends someone. You claim Republicans are the danger. I ask for a fair reply to what I laid out here. The danger grows when the tools of the state become political weapons. That threat rises above any single party. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support this channel.